In a previous video we showed how you could easily put a map control on a dialog component by just selecting the map control from the list of dialog control types, and you can see here in this particular case we've added a map control to the dialog. And we also discussed how in JavaScript when you go and you press the insert button to insert a method, that all of the various methods that the map control exposes are displayed over here. In this video, what we'd like to do is take a tour of the various methods that the map control object makes available to you as a developer working in the dialog component. So you can see here we have a map control, and then we've got a bunch of buttons over here that call the various methods of the map object to demonstrate what they do. So for example, if I click on this button over there, you can see here we've executed this method of the map called setCenter. So if you look at the code here, the first thing that we do is we get a pointer to the map control. So you'll see this pattern repeated over and over again. So we use the dialog object has a method called getControl. The variable for the map was M1, so this gives us a pointer to the map object, and then we just call the setCenter method of this map object, and we pass in a latitude and longitude. So that has centered the map on this latitude and longitude. But this method setCenter can also take an address, so you could also type in single quotes any address that you want, and then the address would be geocoded by Google, and then the map would be centered on that point. So that's the center on long lat. Here's an example of centering on a particular address. So now we've centered on Alpha's address, which is 70 Blanchard, and you can see here instead of passing in a lat and a long, we've passed in a physical address. Now we're going to click on the set zoom, and you can see now we've set the zoom to 12. So the zoom levels go between 0 and 20. I think 20 is a couple of square yards, whereas 0 is the entire Earth. So now if I say view lat longs, you can see here this method takes an array of lat long pairs, and it zooms the map so that all of the points that are passed into the method are in view. So the map will be scaled so that every single point that you pass in here is going to be in view. So if I had passed in one of the points over here with, say, a California address, then this map would have been zoomed out so that both Massachusetts and California were visible at the same time. So now I can click on view marker 1, and you can see here it tells me that I first need to actually run the code to add markers. So let's go now. Let's reload this page and then click on add markers. So you can see now what we've done is we've called the add marker method again. So always the pattern is repeated. We first get a pointer to the map object, and now we've added a whole bunch of markers at these different longitude and latitude values there. And if you look at the code here carefully, you can see that each time we add a marker, we give the marker a name that's a unique name, so that we can later on in our code reference that marker. So we give it, each marker has a unique name, so we've got marker 1 through 9. Then we give a longitude and latitude value inside an array over here, although we could also have given an address as well. And then we specify what group the marker is a member of. So in this particular case we've got 9 markers, but we've got 3 different groups, and each marker is a member of either group 1, group 2, or group 3. So in this case we've passed in a very simple settings object, but there's a much richer collection of settings that you can use for the marker object. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video.